Hello and welcome back to the channel. We are here with the season finale of The Witcher, season 2, episode 8. Last time on The Witcher, quite a bit of information or out of pieces being moved around on the table in the last episode. Geralt went on the hunt to find the witch or the Baba Yaga in the forest. Unfortunately, she's now been freed because she's had her fill. That's a terrible spell to keep someone trapped, though. I mean, I'm sure they didn't anticipate anyone finding her, but yeah, terrible spell. Once you have your fill, then you're free to go. But I've been wondering all this time, what is she getting out of this? What is she gaining by giving them the things that they want? It's only so she can take that thing from them and get her fill of their pain and suffering. So unfortunately, the child that Francesca bore, was killed. I fear what happens to the Alliance now, because I suspect the elves are gonna believe that it was Cahir or even Fringilla that actually killed their child, and then they're gonna have an all-out war on themselves. Yeah, and Emir is supposed to be showing up in this episode, and I can't wait for that revelation. Assuming that we get it this season, it would be a good cliffhanger to end on. Yeah, things are just going very wrong. Geralt fortunately found Ciri before Yen was able to turn her over, not of her own accord. She didn't have a change of heart. She only changed her mind once Ciri read her mind and knew the truth. So Geralt, of course, is quite a bit suspicious of Yennefer and not trusting her for at the moment, and that is fair. And Ciri is now on her way back to Kaer Morhen with Jaskier. Unfortunately, the witch has now found her. I'm still not clear on what the witch's agenda is. Whether she's working with Temeria or whether she's working with Nilfgaard, because they both want Ciri. Those are the only two factions that we're aware of that want Ciri for their own reasons. The Brotherhood just found out, so I don't think it's them, and they wouldn't get involved with the witch, I don't believe, since they can't control her. So the witch must be working with one of the two, since she was pressuring Yennefer to take Ciri to Cintra. I can only assume that she's working with Nilfgaard. But again, the question has to be asked: what does the witch get out of all of this? Now that she's freed, I suppose we'll find out. Hopefully, everyone traveling with Ciri just now doesn't end up dying. But I feel like we're in for a banger of a finale. So, without further ado, let's check it out. This isn't real, Ciri. Is it the same monster from Vesemir's story that the first Witcher trapped? I thought he said killed, but I don't know. I'm just now connecting that to what the story Vesemir had told her.
Look, I know this
How much
may
time has
seem
passed? They
but I
cannot
understand
possibly have
how
made it back to
special
Kaer
she
Morhen
is.
already.
When
I hope they don't make
that I'd feel that
the Game of Thrones
spark,
mistake of having characters
that life again,
teleport
but Ciri, she raised-
distances where they should not possibly be able to make so quickly.
I know how it feels, Yennefer.
I don't know what Valismir wants from Ciri, but we have to protect him.
I do.
Yeah,
you still have some work to do. Betrayal is still too fresh. That's fair. Did the Valismir follow them to Kaer Morhen? What is happening here? Is this real? She just killed one of the Witchers? It seems too easy. Even Witchers are not that defenseless. I don't know how I feel about this yet. I'm waiting to see how things play out.
Ciri, what What's going on?
Geralt?
There's a woman out there. An old woman. In a black.
And the blood? Is she masquerading or Siri, or is she in her body? That still seems a bit unbelievable to me. Even witchers who are asleep are still, you know, not that defenseless for someone to just sneak up on them and kill them.
Grab all the elixir you can find.
But what's the option now? I mean,
Your fight's not with Ciri. When you took Eskel down, it broke me. But you were right. It had to be done.
same thing
Same
here.
as now.
Yeah, she just killed 2 people. I'm not saying that they need to kill her, but if it comes to that, they don't have much of a choice. I don't think sacrificing more people just to save the one person so you can feel good about
She's back in
yourself.
her corporeal form.
No.
Will it work? I don't know. But our best chance is together. Besame.
You stay out of this.
Dijkstra said he didn't need me anymore.
Oh, it came clean.
He had other ways of getting what he wanted.
Cirilla of Sintra. Why would Redania target us?
Because we've befriended Nilfgaard.
Because we're elves.
Okay.
They hate us.
So they don't suspect Fringilla.
It's even better than I remember.
Are you sure you're feeling all right?
Better than ever.
Galante. Yeah, she needs to let go of the past. It's tough.
What is it?
The elves. Some of them have gone.
Always defectors, Fringilla. It's to be expected.
She doesn't know about the child.
Francesca and Filipandro were amongst them.
I'm down the ladder of their
Oh,
child.
they do know.
All fingers point to Redania. If she had told me, I could have offered support.
Could you? You know, you're in no position to.
She is the key to your plan. To showing Amir that you are a valuable leader.
Yes.
So did Fringilla kill the child?
Baby gave them hope. A reason to live rather than die fighting. And it's mysteriously murdered.
I suspected she
Now,
might have.
They're off to raise the kingdoms of our enemies. Your plan.
Did she though?
But I would never do that.
When Amir arrives, I need to rave.
Did she?
So let me.
I wouldn't put it past her. So why come here exactly?
Make your ask.
Release her,
Hmm.
and you can
What
have
do
me.
you want? Was the stone supposed to help? Okay, so she can use it. Oh. There's one here. There's one here. There's a monolith here.
name.
Okay. Let's hope you survive this. Let's hope you survive this to find out. Oh, I know it's killed Cohen and Lambert at least. You've lost enough Witchers.
Burden. Now, Wolf. Pressing you.
Still trying to save her.
Tell me what you want with her. Tell me what she is to you.
She is the future.
He's done. Yeah, he's done. Can't sacrifice everyone else to save one. It just. I know a girl cares for her, but.
Stay strong, Ciri.
Yeah, let's just wait until you kill everyone else so I can save you. I'm sorry, but I'm not with girls on this one. He's sacrificing all his brothers just so he can
If you
save
marry
one
Martin
person.
Marbury, you'll continue quite the exceptional bloodline.
Although I'm not convinced that they'd be able to kill the witch either way.
Do not give in.
Princess, you all right?
No, I'm not alright.
That's it.
Who are these? Oh. Francesca on the warpath,
Dish.
No.
killing countless babies.
What has been need not always be.
All to feed her. Something big is coming through. Ugh. She's gotta make a choice. Oh, finally used Igni.
Geralt, I made a potion to extract Voliv.
Yeah, now all we need to do is get her to what? Drink it? And? What's your point? You just sit back and watch everyone else die?
You feel everything, don't you? Especially hatred.
Hate. Our hate is the pain she needs to grow stronger. Let's not give her what she wants.
She's already plenty strong. I don't think she needs the hatred right now.
If you can hear me, if you can hear us.
I guess she chose.
Unless I right this wrong, my wounds wouldn't heal.
Yen,
Because magic wasn't what I was missing. I can be the vessel
no.
for her.
Yen.
Why would she take you?
No!
Why exactly would this work?
Are your family.
If Ciri chose to stay and the witch has no desire to leave, I don't understand why that would work.
Ciri, we don't have much time. We need to trap Bolethmir once and for all. If you can pull monsters through the monolith, you can send one back.
Okay. Let me do this thing that I've never done before.
Oh, not again.
Wait, what? Where are they? She's leaving her, but what about the gaping gash on her arms where she's bleeding out to death? Because the Wild Hunt is coming. Oh. She's one of the Wild Hunt.
Your place is among us. You are ours. Ciri.
Or Imlerith.
Oh, there's the race of Morg.
The Wild Hunt. Yes. We're safe now, thanks to you.
Thanks to her? No, it's not. What is happening here? How are Yen's wounds healed? Why did I have a lot of questions. Okay, so her magic is back. No explanation for that either. Yeah, well, girl, you saved her. All it took was several Witcher's lives.
I saw the Wild Hunt.
We need to gather more supplies. Start to rebuild again.
Ciri and I can't stay. For something, and it doesn't end there. If mages and royals find out she's still alive and what she's capable of,
They'll come here.
they won't stop coming for her.
The Lion Cub of Sintra, alive and at Sodden with a Witcher.
Why are we only hearing about this now?
Because you just found out
It's
about
when
it.
Dijkstra came to Aretuza, sniffing.
Redanian's wealthy enough. They're center to their realm, and we'll all be taking orders from fucking Vizimir.
Dijkstra no doubt already has his spies looking high and low.
Put a bounty on the girl.
Everyone wants her dead now.
And anyone who protects her.
That's quite barbarous. Even for me.
Welcome to the Brotherhood.
No, it's the same woman from before.
We got our revenge. Let it end there.
Revenge. When the humans arrived, we welcomed them as peers, instead of seeing what they
So
really
now what?
were.
You still don't have the numbers to go to war for it with any of the humans.
I caught him watching by the riverbank. Saved us from Sintra.
My name is Istrid. I'm a mage.
You're a human.
I have some information I think could help you. There is a girl, Princess Cirilla of Sintra.
Stop!
I guess you know that name.
Bring him back.
Ah, not this savior again. Wasn't she just promised that and didn't go as planned?
What do you say?
I'm saying word is out about the girl.
Who's this? Philippa.
Bring me the
Okay.
bard. It's about time he paid back his benefactor.
Supposedly.
I know I've hurt you. Yet I can't help but wish you could begin again.
Use your knowledge of magic to train the girl. Phil and Trettonworth told us we were made for each other, and that nothing would come of it. Something more is needed.
A child.
She is something more.
Just kind of hoping we'd get to see Emira's arrival at, for the finale, but
Those
perhaps
monoliths
not.
that you shatter, the ones that pull new species of monster through every time you scream, those could be gateways to other spheres.
My scream woke Volithmir.
You were the key to her future. What I can't figure out, though, is when did Nilfgaard realize that you were the key to theirs? They knew before
Who's leading
anyone
them?
else.
The White Flame. Emir. Yep. Emir Var Emrys. Welcome.
The elves are already fighting in the north. They may not wear our colors, but they are doing our bidding.
Convince them to fight.
By killing their hope.
We lay the blame on Redania.
Was it, or is she just saying she did? It could go either way, and I don't care.
Desperate measures.
Desperate. Indeed. I would know.
Sir?
That's how I felt when I realized I could no longer count on you.
Which one?
I'm the one who ordered the death of that elven baby.
Oh,
I had
okay.
to. It was the best path to helping me find my daughter.
Hello, Dooney.
Take them away.
All right, the season finale of The Witcher, and what a finale it is. I wasn't too surprised by the revelation there at the end with that Dooney is actually Emir with the White Flame, because I played the games and that's about that's how it worked. It played out as well in the games. So he wants to get his daughter back, but maybe my memory on the game is a bit fuzzy. I'm not clear as to why he wants her power, or if he's trying to get her back to claim her power, or is it a case where he just wants his daughter back? Because clearly whoever obtains her, or the actions that have been taking place, everyone has a motivation and everyone wants something. One of the things that the criticism that I have of this season so far, and let me just say that overall I've enjoyed this season more than I did season 1. I thought the writing was a lot better, the monsters look a lot better, the aesthetic, the music, everything is better than it was in season 1, and that's how the show should progress, get better and better with each season. So I'm glad to see that is in fact happening. But at the same time, there's still some flaws there. One of which is, of course, some of the motivations for specific characters not particularly convincing for me. The elf for one, Francesca and her group, immediately buying into the idea that this was all Redania's doing. It seemed a bit of a stretch for me, especially considering the threat that Cahir posed, or the resistance that he put up. And all the elves saw that in the open. It wasn't some secret that he didn't like the alliance with the elves. he basically made that public knowledge in challenging, you know, a rookie elf to fight and pressuring Fringilla to make certain decisions, which they all knew was coming directly from him. So I think the elves would immediately suspect Cahir or Nilfgaard of betrayal before they would suspect Redania. Even with Dara saying that, you know, he was acting as a spy, you know, he didn't see the killing happen or anything like that. So I just don't see them, the first conclusion, them coming to being someone, an unknown threat that they have never known prior to this incident. So there's just certain things that just weren't making a lot of sense for me as far as, you know, some of the characters go. There was even this episode as well where Yennefer, right? Why I don't, and perhaps again maybe I missed something or I didn't interpret something the way I should have, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't understand why the witch would have left Ciri's body to enter Yennefer's body. She cut her wrist. I don't know if that met some requirement, her sacrificing herself for someone else, and that forces the witch to become her vessel, to change vessels. But they've not said anything to that effect, so they've not hinted at that or suggested that may be a way to trap the witch or anything of that sort. So it came out of nowhere, and I just didn't understand why that worked, especially considering that Ciri gave in to the witch and said she doesn't want to leave, and this being the more powerful vessel, especially since the witch is from, you know, the witch wanted to get home. I don't understand why she would leave Ciri and enter Yennefer's body. And then I don't understand why when the witch left Yennefer's body, why Yennefer got her powers back. That was not explained. Or, you know, why her arms were immediately healed when she was bleeding out. So there are just a lot of things that I thought could have been done better. As far as one of the things that I've noticed throughout the entirety of the season, and I made a mental note to bring it up towards the very end, with the Witchers and the signs that they actually use. Alright. The Witchers have been using several signs throughout, and it's only when they vocalize it that you do know that they're using a different spell. I fail to understand why they have not done anything to try to make a distinction between each spells that the Witchers actually use. And maybe it's just my bias because I'm coming from the games and you can't tell the spells apart. But I imagine in the books there must be some way in which, you know, they're used. But here in this series, it's kind of all muddled together to the point where you can't tell if they're using Ard or Kin. And even Yerden in this case, because Geralt during the fight in this episode said he asked Vesemir to always use Yerden to keep it trapped, but it just looked like they're all just using Ard just externally in a different way. I think it would help the story visually if they could have visual cues, either when the Witchers use the signs, they don't have to draw the signs, but at least make them appear or give them a different color. It doesn't have to be as vibrant as it is in the games because it does need to be realistic, but at the same time you could give it some distinction so we know when they're using Ard or when they're using Kin or when they're using Yerden, in a way that Igni, because when you see them use Igni, you know they're using Igni, right? So that's what's even more odd, because they made Igni quite distinctive. You know that it's fire, but then all the other spells just get molded into one and all look the same, just a transparent force field of some kind, you know. So that's just odd to me. And in the name of continuity, you know, from like Nightmare of the Wolf to this series, where the abilities that they use, we saw Geralt at the end here, he did use Igni on the creature that was fighting him on the bridge. Before, we only saw him use it on the sword, but then we saw him use it here. I've been waiting for him to use it, and I couldn't understand why he hasn't, since it's one of the more practical spells against monsters. But again, in Nightmare of the Wolf, it's something that he uses, or Vesemir uses to great extent, but you never see him use it here. But at the same time, they are tying in these two stories. but you're not seeing a lot of carryover from one to the other. So yeah, with the spells, I do wish I think it would be good if they had some visual cues to show a distinction between each spells. I know they don't want to borrow from the games because they're trying to stay true to the novels and the author and his disdain for the video games, but this is your own medium, and I even saw they had to do that in this story because they even killed Roach in this this season. Again, I don't know how it works out in the novels if Roach dies or not, but the point is, when they did kill Roach, Geralt had to carry both swords on his back, which is something I know they've been trying not to do, because in the novels apparently he just carries the swords on his horse, and he has a new horse now, so perhaps they'll go back to that. But some of the things work in the games because they just make more sense to do that. Geralt carrying two swords on his back makes more sense because his horse is not always going to be near him when he's fighting a monster, or when he needs to switch from silver to iron. So yeah, there's just a lot of things that they seem to be avoiding that just makes sense for the story, and I wish they would just embrace it rather than trying to avoid it altogether. And finally, my last criticism is one that I've mentioned from the previous season with the relationships between certain characters, and that is specifically highlighted this season with Istredd and Triss. I mentioned it during one of the episodes that I do hope that they do treat Triss and Istredd, or Triss specifically, because she's a character that I'm familiar with from the games. And yes, in the games she does have feelings for Geralt, but I do want them to not lean on her pining after Geralt so much, and kind of define the character in her own way, in the same way that they did with Yennefer. As I mentioned, I did not particularly like Yennefer in the games, but I like her here because she has a story, she has growth, and she has meaning beyond just Geralt. Right, so I do hope that they do something similar with Triss and Istredd. They kind of took a step back with Istredd and essentially said, okay, you know, he still loves Yennefer, and that's one of the reasons why he came back. And I would have liked for them not to go back down that road, but unfortunately that's where we are. Outside of my criticisms, I think the show has done a fantastic job. Essentially, just you know, as I said, everything has gone up. The budget has increased this season, and it definitely shows. The monsters look fantastic. The monsters at the end here looked brilliant. The battles against the Witchers look fantastic. I don't agree with Geralt's choice here to sacrifice all his brothers so he could save Ciri. I understand why he made the choice, but at the same time, I don't think it was the best choice to make. Witchers are already on a decline, and we see how Vesemir feels about that. And for him to say, okay, yeah, I want to save this child, it just felt a bit selfish for me. But you know, so for the sake of the story, I know it made sense, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's a good idea to, you know, kill your brothers who you grew up with and trained with, just so you can honor an agreement that you made to keep this one person safe. But it is what it is. But overall, you know, as I said, you know, Yen is back. She's gotten her powers back. I still love Yen, as I've said countless times. I still love her. I still think she makes horrible choices. I'm still, to this point, not the biggest fan of her relationship with Geralt. I love them both individually, but I just don't see where this season what they've done is try to build on the relationships from the previous season, but I was not sold on the relationship in season 1 to begin with, so it's a bit difficult for me to feel the organic growth here between them in this particular season, because we're leaning so much on what happened before, but we didn't see any of what happened before. A lot of their interaction was just in the span of 2 episodes in season 1, and then the rest was just years that we did not get to see. And the same thing happened with Triss as well. We're just told in this season that she had history with Geralt and she's been to Kaer Morhen and that all this stuff happened, but we didn't see any of that. And so I felt we could have, I would have preferred to have seen those relationships build. So it does still feel as though they are rushing as far as relationships are concerned, with getting the characters to a certain point so that they can move the story along. And I wish they would spend more time, building a lot of that. I know people don't like stories that they don't like when the seasons are filled with too much dialogue, but I think world building is essential for the payoff, the eventual payoff that you'll get in the end. And when you don't do that completely, you end up feeling as though something is lacking. And that's kind of what I feel at the moment where the Geralt-Yennefer relationship is concerned. I feel as though I missed something. And the same thing with Geralt and Triss, I feel as though I missed something, because I did miss something, because they didn't show it to us. So I do hope in the coming seasons I think as the seasons go along, that will improve by virtue of the characters having more screen time together and spending more time together and having more encounters like this one or these that we got in this season. So I'm hopeful for that much. I'm hopeful for that. Of course, in this season, we also have new players who were added to the field. The elves, of course, who at this point we've now realized that it was Emhyr who actually killed the elven baby and not Fringilla. I was actually rooting for Fringilla this time because I thought she was a significant improvement over her character in season 1. So I wanted her to be the mastermind, but it seems she was still trying to mend that relationship with Francesca, so she didn't kill the child. She was just saying she did, because they would believe it regardless. And of course, Emhyr was having none of that. Now, as far as Emhyr is concerned, I'm not sold on the actor. And again, I know I'm admitting my bias here because I'm spoiled from the video games, and Emhyr is portrayed as this character that has a presence. And I'm just not getting that presence from this particular casting choice. Maybe over time we will see, but Emhyr he reminds me more of the character from Game of Thrones, Tyrion's dad. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name, but the head Lannister. Tywin is his name, right? Tywin Lannister. Emhyr had more of a demeanor closer to Tywin Lannister. Very controlling, and he had a presence. Whenever he steps into the room, it's like you obey what he says. But I don't get that feeling from this casting choice yet. But again, you've only had him on screen momentarily, and I imagine we'll see how things progress in the next season with him. Of course, outside of the elves who are on the march for revenge, we had Temeria, who's now a part of the fray, who's trying to obtain this child and this power. And I'm still not clear what they believe they'll obtain from Ciri's power, because from everything that we've seen, her power appears to just be, to open the different spheres to let the Wild Hunt in, which would just be to everyone's end. I don't see how they believe they can use her power to end all wars, unless they could use it in a way where they could transport armies over great distances and so on, and something like that. It could be used tactically, I suppose. So I guess from that perspective, with someone with that power on their side, they could effectively wipe out their enemies quite easily. So that's how I'm viewing it. I don't know if that's what they're thinking, but that's how I'm viewing it. So yeah, and of course Dijkstra is leading that group from Temeria. I do think Dijkstra, I think Dijkstra has his own motivations. I don't think he's loyal to Temeria, but he'll reveal his hand eventually. I believe eventually. Now they've been suggesting that perhaps the Flame guys, Rance, is working for Dijkstra, but at the end here, there was a shot with Rance and the other mage sitting with their benefactor, but they never show his face. So I do wonder whether there's another party here, and it's not in fact Dijkstra that hired them, but another faction that we've just not been introduced to. Regardless, the Brotherhood has decided that okay, yeah, we want this power now. We can't let it fall into anyone else's hands. So Ciri is, the secret's out. The secret's out. Everyone knows what she's now capable of, and they all want her to serve their own purposes. I think it was a good move for Geralt to not stay at Kaer Morhen, because as long as they knew where she was, they would come for her, and probably kill more of the Witchers. And something that upset me about it, or not upset, that I found particularly odd was Ciri killing the Witchers at Kaer Morhen. I just don't think any of the Witchers are that relaxed when they're asleep, considering their heightened senses and everything, not to sense danger, especially with the witch in their actual keep in Ciri's body. How is it that their medallions did not, signal them or go off to highlight that there's a threat around? So that was something that I felt was a bit bizarre as well. The fact that their medallions or none of the Witchers were alerted to Ciri's presence and were just easily killed by, in effect at that moment, a child. That just seemed peculiar to me. But generally, as people discover what she's capable of, it's going to be a lot more difficult to hide her. But I'm looking forward to seeing the adventures that she goes on with Geralt. As I mentioned, the Wild Hunt story seemed to have moved up, because she's still very young, and from the games, the Wild Hunt doesn't enter the picture until she's a bit older, when her powers really start to show. But here it's happening sooner than later. I'm assuming the writers felt it was necessary to introduce it at this point in time, so we will have to see how they execute that particular story. And I might understand that the witch is a part of the Wild Hunt. When they went to the other sphere and we saw the witch leave Yennefer's body, she went and became a part of, I don't know if it's someone's armor, I don't know if that's Imlerith or Eredin, some of the generals from the Wild Hunt. Was she one of them? But I don't know. So I'm just a bit unclear as to what she actually was. Whether she was the witch, or whether she was a part of the Wild Hunt that came with a particular purpose and she was trapped there by the first Witchers and didn't get to fulfill her mission. But yeah. So at the same time, this season dropped a lot of lore, and look, they made a lot of changes that I'm aware that people are not going to be not going to be particularly pleased with. Roach's death, for one. I know Eskel is up there as well. I know some people are probably going to push back on Eskel's death, but again, different medium, slightly different story that the writers want to tell. I'm fine as long as it makes sense. And Cohen appears to be filling that role quite well. My only criticism was with Lambert, because I think Lambert should be more like Eskel. Again, just from the characters that I do know, Lambert was more of a prick than Eskel was, and they seem to have toned that down a bit. And Roach being killed off, yeah. So they've made a few changes. The Wild Hunt being moved up and so on. They've made quite a few changes that I'm sure people are going to have mixed feelings about, but I think they're doing a fairly good job so far. There are a few missteps again that I've mentioned at the very beginning as far as my criticisms go. I can only hope that things will improve as the seasons go along. I know there's another series in the work. I think it's a series, could be a movie, I could be wrong. The Witcher Blood Origins or something like that. That's in the making, that I'm particularly interested in. I do want more animated stories though. I think the animated stories do a much better job. A much better job of telling certain stories, especially when they don't have limitations as far as practicality goes and choreography and monsters and just the aesthetic of the Witcher's world. I enjoyed the Nightmare of the Wolf, and I just want them to do more stories like those. Whether it can be some random Witchers, it doesn't have to be prominent Witchers like Vesemir or anything like that. But you know, just other contracts and so on that they can actually lean on to tell stories. So I hope we get more stories like that one. But I am looking forward to Blood Origins. I think they recently announced that Michelle Yeoh was attached to that story as well. So particularly interested because I know her. She's a prominent action actress, of course. So that's definitely a good thing to have her talent added there. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the next season to see what new adventures Geralt and Ciri and Jaskier are going to be embarking on. Yeah, it was just another enjoyable season. I can't wait for more. Hopefully we don't get too much of a delay with COVID with the next season, but I imagine that there will be some delay. But we're forever grateful for the cast and crew for everything that they've actually done in getting this season out. I know they've had to make a lot of changes to ensure that the season was completed. Yeah, so looking forward to more, guys. All right, everyone, be sure to post down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this episode and this season of The Witcher. What did you enjoy about this season? What did you not enjoy so much or thought could have been done a lot better? If you want to support the channel, continue supporting the channel, remember to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.